Welcome to the Ultimate Guide to Partnering. I'm Vince Menzione, your host, and my mission is to help leaders like you achieve your greatest results through successful partnering. And I'm so excited to be back at Microsoft Studios, where we have an amazing guest today and an amazing announcement. Thomas Abel is the director of Microsoft's 365 Business Go-to-Market. So great to welcome you today, Thomas.
Thanks, Vince. Great to spend time with you today.
So we're in the middle of the fiscal year, all right, beginning of H2, and you've got some exciting announcements that you just shared publicly. And now this is the first interview you've done.
That's right. This is kind of the first time getting to talk about this in a super public setting. But I think in many ways people knew this was coming. It was just a matter of time. But
Yes.
it's been an exciting journey. Certainly an exciting week for us.
I bet. Tell us more about it.
Yeah. So if you didn't see the news, earlier this week we announced 3 big changes for Microsoft 365 and Copilot for Microsoft 365. We announced this product back in March of 2023.
Yes.
It has been a very fast 9 months in a very fast moving space with artificial intelligence. Back in November, we announced enterprise availability. And I'll be honest, I've heard probably from many of your listeners, different messages and emails and IMs about where is CSP availability?
Exactly.
Where's availability for small and medium businesses? And all I can say is thank you. We always appreciate the advocacy. It is so important that we get that feedback. At the same time, it was always in the plan. It just took a little bit of time to get there. And so we moved very quickly. We had teams working all over the holidays, and we're really excited to share kind of 3 big changes. The first is that Copilot for Microsoft 365 is now available in the CSP channel.
Wow. So exciting.
The second, that we're expanding availability to more Microsoft 365 SKUs. So customers that are on Business Standard or Business Premium, or customers that are on Office 365 E3 or E5, or Microsoft 365 E3 or E5, can now add Copilot to their subscription.
Very nice.
And finally, the big one, the one that took probably the most work, is we've removed the seat minimums.
Yes.
And that means that customers of any size can start with any number of licenses.
Even me. Right?
Even
so
you.
I've been sitting here, the haves and the have-nots. I'm on all these calls with Microsoft executives, and everybody is powering through Copilot. And I'm sitting there going, well, I have to flip over to ChatGPT if I want to do anything on AI. But you've removed all the roadblocks.
That's exactly right. It was something we always wanted to have happen. We didn't honestly think we could get this far this quickly. We pulled out all of the stops to make this happen. And it was really a question of, are we ready or not? And we said, well, we think we're ready. Let's do it. Let's do it big.
This is big for the 400,000 plus Microsoft partners in the ecosystem. And in fact, many of which are SMB organizations. So their ability to utilize the technology to become proper evangelists hasn't been there before.
That's exactly right. I love the way you said that. We often repeat this, that many of our partners are small and medium businesses themselves.
That's right.
And that means first that they have an amazing view into the needs of their customers, but then also we need to respect them and help them as small and medium businesses. And so, this is a win-win on both accounts. I hope many partners will say, hey, I can get value in Copilot for myself, but also they'll see the value in delivering it to their customers.
And I think about the next Netflix as an example, right? So organizations that may grow into the next unicorns that are out there that weren't able to utilize this technology up until now.
Yeah. I mean, we've had a really great learning experience with Copilot. It has been very fast, as I said before. But we started back in September with a small group of small and medium businesses that we gave Copilot to. We didn't make a huge deal about this because we knew that people would be hounding us to get in.
Don't want to be part of it.
Exactly. But it's really been impressive to see how these customers have evolved in using it. And I think small and medium businesses actually are going to realize more value out of something like Copilot than the large enterprises, simply because their primary competency isn't being the finance person or being, the marketer. It's doing whatever their business is about.
Yes.
And this gives them more time to do that.
So let's double click here on what this really truly means for me as a partner.
Yeah. So a couple different pieces. The first is that it's now available to transact. We shared before that it's a $30 per user per month SKU. Of course, through the CSP channel, partners can resell that product to their end customers. Just a great classic CSP opportunity for our Microsoft partners. That's kind of the first step. But one of the things that I think is so cool about Copilot on top of Microsoft 365 is that it builds on all of the things partners are already doing in selling Microsoft 365.
Yes.
Of course, that means you need to sell business standard or business premium into your customer. But one of the things around Copilot and AI is security. How are you ensuring that with this new tool, you're also securing your infrastructure? And Copilot respects all of the security rules that are already in place for Microsoft 365.
Nice.
So if you're a partner that already knows how to sell business premium or how to deploy security managed services or endpoint protection, these are all things that only get turbocharged when your customers are asking, hey, what do I need to do before I deploy AI solutions in my environment?
Clearly, partners are super important to what you're doing. You've got to spend a lot of time with them. Were there any aha moments from that?
Yeah, I think there's a couple different pieces to it. One is, the opportunity is very clearly there. We have some data that we talk with a lot of customers, and they say about 87% of businesses today are looking for AI to help them with a competitive advantage. And when I take that stat and I combine it with what I hear from partners, which is every single renewal conversation they're having, their customers are saying, what's my AI strategy? What should it be? Like, this is an opportunity. You have customer demand, you have this moment, and now you have a product to serve it. And so putting those all together is just aha. We were tracking the kind of first purchases that were taking place. And there was a partner that had standing orders from their customers that as soon as you can hit buy, I want to buy. They were small. It was a ME5 customer, a business standard customer, a business premium customer, a couple of different customers. And they were all small, about 10 seats each, but it was the start. It was each of those customers saying, hey, I want to start with a pilot. I want to experience this. I'm going to deploy it out to a department and I'm going to see the learnings. And what's great about Copilot, it'll tell you, we have Copilot dashboard in the product. It'll tell you the time savings that your employees are experiencing. As a partner, you can go show that dashboard and it'll sell itself at that point.
It's the same sentiment we've been seeing in the enterprise as well, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody wants to utilize the technology and they want to bring it to life in their own organizations. Exactly. What are you doing now? What are you building to help partners be more successful here?
I mentioned Copilot Dashboard, which is a great resource of customers that have started using Copilot for Microsoft 365. We can show those data insights that say how it's helping them. But for partners specifically, we did something about 3 years ago that I think is a little unique. We took product engineers and tasked them with figuring out how to help partners.
Wow.
Which, it's a little bit different. We took this team and the net result is a thing called Microsoft 365 Lighthouse.
Lighthouse.
That is our multi-tenant management solution. It integrates with other third-party multi-tenant management vendors as well, but it gives partners the ability to manage the security of their tenants across all of them. We recently added one more thing to it, which we're calling Sales Advisor. And what I love about this is it's taking a step beyond just tenant management to helping partners sell to customers. And so last week, in addition to announcing the product, we also launched recommendations for propensity to buy Copilot for Microsoft 365.
Wow. So it's like it's like candy to me as a partner.
The number one thing I hear from partners is, I'd like some leads, please. and this is my attempt to help here. We delivered a bit over 150,000 customer propensity signals through Microsoft 365 Lighthouse Sales Advisor. So if you're a partner, you can log in right now and you should be able to see your customers and which ones are most likely to buy Copilot based off of our signals that we use for all of our direct enterprise sellers as well.
It's walking the talk, right? Microsoft has got the largest ecosystem of any of the organizations in our marketplace, in our technology world. And it's walking the talk in terms of how you're helping partners be more successful.
I appreciate that quite a bit. We've worked on this quite hard. We really think that partners are foundational to our success. It's why we build the products the way we do. It's why we build so much surface area in the products we do. We think about products like Business Premium and how much there is there that partners can help with in terms of security policies and endpoint management. We're really committed to the channel.
I love it. I'm so excited to continue to partner with AG1. Many of you know I made taking a green drink supplement part of my health ritual for 21 years now, and it has made all the difference to my health and well-being. About 6 years ago, Athletic Greens, and now their product AG1, became my go-to supplement. AG1 is the first thing I take every morning to power my day. It covers all of my nutritional bases, supports my gut health, gives a boost to my immunity and energy levels. If you want to take ownership of your health, try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to drinkag1.com/Vince M. That's drinkag1.com/Vince M. Check them out. So Thomas, I was hoping you could double click with us on the difference between Microsoft Copilot and Copilot for Microsoft 365.
Yes. A little bit of confusing branding. There's a lot of Copilots going around both at Microsoft and it seems like just in the ecosystem.
I'm glad I'm not the only one who feels this way.
We certainly started with just Microsoft Copilot. And, that is a large language model empowered with internet data, publicly accessible internet data in a chat-based experience. That was previously known as Bing Chat or Bing Chat Enterprise. And, you can go to copilot.microsoft.com today and go test it out. Pretty cool experiences that you can go have. When we talk about Copilot for Microsoft 365, we're changing that a little bit. We're supercharging some aspects of it. The first is about security and data protection. With Microsoft Copilot, if you sign in with an Entra ID account, we give you what we call business-grade data protection.
Okay.
Essentially, what we mean by that is Microsoft will not have eyes-on access to your prompts or the responses that are being generated.
Got it. So your data is secured.
Right. When we talk about Microsoft Copilot for Microsoft 365, we upgrade that to what we would call enterprise-grade data protection. And what we really mean by that is respecting all of the policies that are already in place for Microsoft 365. From the user level, where you have user level permissions on files, all the way up to the tenant level. If you have data residency policies in place, we'll follow all of those same policies with where we're processing your queries and the responses through our large language models with Copilot.
And what that means to me, as in layman terms, is that you might have sensitive information that is only shared with, let's say, the executive team or a certain sector of your business that may have been available to everyone else universally within your organization. And you have the segmentation, those privacy policies apply across the business.
Exactly right. I'll give you an example. This is inside baseball, but as we were getting ready for this announce, we started the blog post, writing the blog post of what Nicole was going to share. Nicole Deason, the head of our Global Partner Solutions organization, was going to write in the blog. And we put that on a SharePoint site like you would normally, and we were collaborating on it. It turns out people at Microsoft are very excited about availability in the CSP channel. And there were a couple of people that every morning, the first thing they would do is log into Copilot and ask it, when is Copilot launching in the CSP channel?
Oh my goodness.
And of course, as we're writing this blog, all of a sudden Copilot very diligently starts answering. And they're pinging us like, hey, did you hear the news? And we're like, how in the world do you know this? Well, it turns out this is kind of classic shift of a SharePoint site. This was a SharePoint site that was used for one purpose, and over time it had added more and more people to it. And so, it was just out of date user permissions that too many people had access to that draft document. And Copilot was just following the rules.
Yeah.
And
just doing its job.
Exactly. And so we went back in and we set the right restrictions. And in about 15 minutes, those same people, we were asking them, ask again. And all of a sudden Copilot was saying, hey, I can't answer that. I'm sorry. And it's a great example of Copilot really following all of the things we've already put in place with Microsoft 365.
We talk about industries quite a bit, and I was just thinking about two very sensitive industries, financial services and healthcare. And HIPAA compliance in healthcare and financial services, certainly very sensitive banking data and things like that. So those organizations have those privacy policies with Copilot.
Exactly. And this kind of connects to the second big difference between Copilot and Copilot for Microsoft 365, which is we are enriching, we are what we call grounding your responses and prompts with your company's data.
Nice.
Meaning that we understand the context of the questions you're asking and can use that context in the answers we're giving. So exactly as you're calling out of having sensitive data, that exposes, in some cases, poorly structured data silos.
Yes.
At the same time, if you structure that correctly, especially as a partner, this is an opportunity for partners, then your customers and your employees can take advantage of that.
Yes.
And they can use that graph data to better get responses from the large language models.
You talk about partner opportunity. SMB space, 150 million SMBs globally. What does this mean for our partners?
Yeah, well, I'll give you another number because we like to talk about users as well. About slightly over a billion users in commercial small and medium businesses around the world.
Now have access.
Well, they need to start with Microsoft 365, but certainly we'd like to get there.
I think about this as a seminal point in much the same way I think about AI generally as a seminal point for organizations that are looking to transform. Now turning to Microsoft saying, we really want you to be part of this transformational journey. I know that at the enterprise side, that's been the case. I think it's the same in SMB. Would you agree?
Certainly. The most exciting thing for me is this is going to change how small and medium businesses work. If we talk about what Copilot really does, it is integrated into the Microsoft 365 apps that people are using day in and day out. Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Teams, Outlook. And so the power of Copilot for Microsoft 365 in Excel to take a small business that maybe today doesn't have an accountant or doesn't have a CFO, but being able, or a finance department, being able to use Copilot as kind of like a finance intern to help you spend less time analyzing your data and more time going back to whatever your core business is. That's going to be such an accelerator for small businesses that they've never had access to before.
And creating dashboards and all the tools and capabilities.
My favorite demo I downloaded a spreadsheet from the US Department of Agriculture just about fruit prices. And you can give it to Copilot, and Copilot will look at all the data and it'll say, hey, there's a couple outliers here of fruits that are way more, you can charge more for them relative to their weight and relative to their serving size. And it's a classic example of a small business maybe won't be looking closely at that data. We have teams of people at Microsoft that pore over this type of data, but being able to ask Copilot, hey, which products are better for me to sell? And it's saying, hey, looking at your company data, these things are better to sell. They make more money for you. They're higher priced. That's an insight that you can turn into action.
I love it. And you've gotten to work with partners quite a bit during this process, right? In your role and then this rollout. Talk to me a little bit what your experience has been working with these partners and the excitement in this sort of, I'll call it pilot, for lack of a better term, that you had here.
Yeah, we started with a very small group of partner early access SMB customers and a few partners that were in that as well. Really just saying, hey, we don't know what we don't know here with how the world's going to change with artificial intelligence. But let's give you Copilot for a month or two and let's see what you do with it. When I think about how partners learn from it, the number one thing is this is a totally new interaction model between humans and computers.
Right.
And that's going to take time for people to learn. And so just like the move from on-prem to cloud, there is a massive change management curve that partners are going to have to help their customers through. The funniest thing for me is a couple partners, they created one-pagers of how to do Copilot, how to use it, what prompts to use. And they printed them out and they laminated them. And this to me is so 2000s of classic
1999.
Laminate the cheat sheet, and they handed it out to every single one of their users. And it worked. Like this is back to the basics of learning how to use artificial intelligence and changing your daily routine to accommodate it. One of the things that I've started doing is I'll ask Copilot once a week or so, hey, what are my most important meetings next week? And which day should I come into the office? And it'll look at my calendar and it'll say, hey, these are the meetings that I think are most important. And it looks like Wednesday is the best day. If you were to only come in on one day, come in on Wednesday because your manager is going to be in as well. And you have a meeting with these other people that they said they wanted to whiteboard.
Yeah. Wow. That's a great use case. Yeah. The other one I heard about was Teams. Mm-hmm. And that when you're having meetings in Teams, the summarization of the go-tos and the summarization of the meeting taking place.
Exactly. You know, Teams is probably the very first feature that everyone starts using and doesn't stop using. Yeah. Teams followed by Outlook, I would say, is just those kind of core, you use those so much that it's very easy to start leveraging Copilot. Copilot recaps in meetings are very powerful. One of the things that I think is so obvious, but also a little tricky to do is, you know, when you have a meeting with someone, we want the AI to summarize the action items. I don't want the AI to respond with my action items different from what you think your action items are. So let's make sure that the action items are the same when we both ask the AI what's going on.
I love that. I love that. So many times we misinterpret what our intentions for meetings are, or what our go-tos are. So Thomas, for our partners that are watching us today or listening to the podcast, what do they need to go do now?
Yeah, it's going to be a learning curve. So I would say, first off, start playing with these tools. In order to be able to tell customers the value, you're going to have to realize the value yourself. I think that's an easy one. We are also publishing an immense amount of content to help partners and to help them create their strategies for how to sell into their customers. You can start by going to our landing page where we're hosting all of this content, aka.ms/CSP Copilot. We'll keep updating that. If you haven't started transacting, or if you have that customer that's banging on your door, you should check out the Microsoft Partner Center where we've published how to transact, because we know this was kind of a non-standard launch, middle of the month, but we also knew it was important. We wanted CSP partners to be able to transact on day one.
And I believe there might be some incentives that are being driven against this too. Can you talk to us more about what partners should anticipate coming?
Yeah, so one of the things we're doing to kind of make sure everyone sees the opportunity with Copilot is we're including Copilot for Microsoft 365 in the Strategic Product Accelerator. So partners that qualify for our incentives will be able to earn up to 7% incentive on top of Copilot sales, which is, of course, a great opportunity. Yes. It's not a cheap SKU, so there's a lot of money there as well.
That's fantastic. Thomas, I feel so privileged that you chose Ultimate Guide to Partnering to tell this story today. I want to thank you for joining us. I want to thank our viewers and listeners for joining us today. Thanks so much.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of The Ultimate Guide to Partnering. Online at ultimateguidetopartnering.com or theultimatepartner.com. If you like this episode, I'd be thrilled if you left us up to a 5-star review on either Apple or Spotify. And please subscribe to our new YouTube channel, Ultimate Partner. We'll catch you next time on The Ultimate Guide to Partnering.